October the 24th. We're going to begin the meeting with the items for discussion to be either held or approved. 1.1 is street parking, Indian Arrow Road at Johnson Street.
Hold, please.
1.2 is street parking, Steele Street between Johnson Street and Penetanguishene Road.
Hold, please.
1.3 is stairs from Kempsfelt Drive, sidewalk to North Shore Trail at Rodney Street.
Hold, please.
1.4 is four-way stop Penville Trail and McIntyre Drive.
Hold.
Held by the Deputy Mayor. Just press a button and all it says is hold, please. Seniors and Expectant Mother Parking Pilot Project Peggy Hill Team Community Center. Sorry, Peggy.
Hold, please.
That's 5 for 5. It's going to be the longest meeting we've had of this term.
Buckle up, Bob. Buckle up.
And it's all the stuff Bob wants to hear. So before we go into the items for discussion, I'm going to actually go to the strategic plan updates. Now, Mr. Schmidt is not with us this evening, but Mr. Hughes and our clerk are going to fill in all of the gaps for us. And so we're not left by ourselves here. In terms of the Performing Arts Center, is there anything you'd like to add here, Mr. Hughes, this evening?
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. Or is that Mr. Chair, or both? So I could run through all of these projects for you. I have some updates on all of them. So on the Performing Arts Center front, Harari Pontarini Architects are continuing to work through the design, development, and costing of the facility in collaboration with the city's Recreation, Development Services, Park Planning, and of course my own team in Corporate Facilities. This includes additional design development and costing work related to the restaurant and waterfront park elements, and staff expect to bring a final recommendations to the October 29th General Committee meeting for approval from Council and General Committee. On the Lakehead University projects, I'm just going to rattle through here unless members of Council or committee have questions. With the opening of the new Barrie Allendale Transit Terminal at 20 Essa Road, transit services have now relocated to the new facility. Transit staff will maintain a presence at 24 Maple until the end of day Sunday to redirect commuters who aren't aware of the relocation. The fit out of space at 55 Mulcaster Street to replace Barrie Police's current downtown detachment is underway, and we expect Barrie Police to be able to relocate to the new space in October. Interior demolition work at 24 Maple will start shortly, and significant redevelopment work is expected to be completed throughout the fall and early winter months. Design development plans are currently under review by the city's building department for the additional space required by Lakehead, and staff continue to work with our Lakehead colleagues on financial and operational details. To this end, members of council will receive an updated staff report for review and consideration at the October 1st General Committee meeting. That's next Wednesday. Moving along with the purchase of the property of the new South Barrie Mixed-Use Recreation Center and Library Complex, now finalized, our immediate focus for staff is on planning for the necessary site services to support the development, and staff also anticipate starting property due diligence work and studies required to advance the development of that project. So a bunch of things going along there.
Mr. Hughes, just before we move on, just to confirm, so we now own the property for the new rec center?
It's a matter of whether a check has been cashed, but yes.
Okay, that's great. I'm sure that at some point before the snow comes that certainly our South End or North End are welcome as well, obviously, but I'm sure our South End councillors would like to go walk the land with you because you're such a popular guy and understand what's happening there. So thank you for confirming the purchase has essentially gone through.
All right. Okay. You're welcome. On the Sea Cadet South Shore development front, with council's final endorsement of the recommended development plan at last week's City Council meeting. The team is working on the facility's design development package in advance of a pre-consultation meeting scheduled for October 16th. The full detailed design and development of construction documentation is expected to be completed by late November. Field work for site investigations is complete, and staff and the design team are just awaiting the final reports to move forward with those. A draft project schedule has been developed, which will be further refined through the pre-consult and construction document development process. The final schedule will be shared with General Committee when available, and a project-specific website is currently being set up to keep the public informed of progress along the way. The last project I have on the list is the Northwest Library Branch. Lease for space at 420 Leacock Drive has been executed, and the landlord is currently working through their own design development and review processes. That work will help to inform project details and, more importantly, the project schedule. You know, before somebody asks, I don't have it yet. A memo outlining the general terms and conditions of the lease terms will be provided to council shortly, and that was one of our to-dos from, I don't know, several months ago at this point. And that is my report.
Wonderful, thank you. Madam Clerk, are you jealous of all the things that Mr. Hughes got to speak about?
Yes, Mayor Nettle, actually I am, because of what I have to update on.
It's all good news.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Nettle. Since the declaration of the state of emergency on September 9th, 2025, coordinated efforts between the city and the county of Simcoe have led to measurable progress in addressing encampment-related challenges on city-owned property. Outreach teams have prioritized compassionate engagement, offering shelter options throughout the county and storage tailored to individual needs. As of today, September 24th, the county has provided outreach services to several encampment sites throughout the city and has been successful in providing alternate shelters for individuals from the following locations. Mulcaster Street. Encampment has been fully addressed, and 39 of the 44 individuals have secured alternative shelter and storage for their belongings. City operations have successfully completed the cleanup efforts of boulevards and roadways. Sam Kinsella Park. One tent has been cleared and the individual has secured shelter. Bradford Street. Action has been taken to address multiple encampments along Bradford Street. Outreach has confirmed that 10 of the 18 individuals were supported with appropriate spaces. Those that accepted supports and offers of indoor spaces include both individuals and couples, including those with pets. As of this afternoon, all individuals have left the site and cleanup is underway. Cleanup on the south side of the Diamonds encampment has been completed, and the contractor is wrapping up on the north side, which should be done by next week. City staff, along with our partners at the County of Simcoe and Barrie Police, will continue to work collaboratively, I can't even talk today, in addressing further encampments in the city. Staff will continue to provide weekly updates to council during the emergency order.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And so that's giving us an update on all of the items. Are there any questions from members of Executive Committee or councillors in attendance? Over to Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Nettle. Just a quick question, and I probably missed this, directed to Mr. Hughes. The existing police satellite office that's downtown currently, can you just remind me where that's relocating to?
Absolutely, I can. Councillor Hamilton, they're moving right across the street to 55 Mulcaster. So pretty much above Jimmy Choo's, if my orientation is correct. And as soon as they move out, we'll be able to demolish their space and get it fed up for Lakehead.
Great, thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions or comments? I'm seeing none, so we're going to go to the business here of the day, and then we'll move into our financial updates following that. So 1.1 street parking, Indian Arrow Road at Johnson Street. Deputy Mayor, you held it.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed. And if you'd like, we could probably deal with the first two as they're similar requests. I was just wondering with and maybe a question through you to the clerk, with the parking ad hoc committee, would it be better that we deal with all parking issues through the committee instead of the one-offs? That way it's not a specific street and where it's dealt with as a citywide initiative as recommendations come, because there's obviously reasoning behind from Councilor Reitman that these streets need this, but I know it's an investigation and the feasibility, but I'm just wondering if the rationale behind these streets, if it's not translated out throughout the whole city. So I'm just wondering if it's probably better structure if it was dealt with through the ad hoc committee and a recommendation to council?
Through you, Chair Nuttall, to Deputy Mayor Thompson. Yes, I probably would referring both items to the parking committee would probably be prudent because that committee is specifically addressing parking issues in the community as a whole. So these two items may be addressed as the parking committee makes their recommendations to council.
So maybe at this time, Mayor Nuttall, item 1.1 and 1.2, I would refer to the parking ad hoc committee.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to refer these items to the parking ad hoc committee. And hold on, I have Councillor Riepma first, and then I've got Councillor Harvey. So Councillor Riepma.
Mayor Nuttall, just a point of order, referrals are non-debatable.
I'll actually withdraw my referral and allow the members, if that's possible, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Perfect. And I'm going out of order because they're your items. So I know I'm going out of order in terms of the members of the executive committee, but Councillor Riepma, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate that. I'm a bit reluctant to send them off to the ad hoc committee because the ad hoc committee is going to be looking at sort of parking policy across the city. And these two items are very specific. The first one, dealing with Indian Arrow Road, we have a new apartment building that was just built there, 11 stories, and there's a parking issue right at Johnson Street, so that which is right where the building is. So there's no parking on one side of the street. There's parking on the other side of the street, and we're finding that people are parking there all day, and it's interfering with traffic. So it's strictly a localized traffic thing. With respect to the second one on Steeles Street, it's also very localized. We have a series of BLRs there, and so the parking is spilling out over the street, and there's a lot of parking on that street. I think that one side of the street is probably we should have no parking, which will let traffic and buses and garbage trucks go through there much more easily. So again, it's a highly focused kind of area, and I would prefer that our staff take a technical look at it and give us some advice.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. I think so I hear you. I'll go over to Councillor Harvey first.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I don't know if this is more of a question to staff or a question to you and the Deputy Mayor as to what the real purpose of the ad hoc parking committee is, because it's new. And I can see obviously that these were brought forward because of complaints that Councillor Riepma would have received from residents, and slowing it down, putting it through an ad hoc committee is really actually adding some red tape to this, opposed to, because I can't imagine then the ad hoc committee is then going to shut requests like this down, and really with how often they meet, this is going to slow down this request by a couple of months. So I'm not so sure that that's an efficient way to move forward with requests like this, where it is as a result of a resident's complaint. Whereas, especially when you look at the people that are on that committee outside of members of council that are on this, because I believe actually Councillor Riepma is even on that committee, but the other people are representing various facets of the development community and things like that. Whereas I would look at their professional would be as backgrounds as to how are we dealing with parking globally around the city, opposed to very centralized requests like what these are. And I can anticipate that all of us around the table are going to have those types of requests also. So I really struggle to think that this should be slowed down and go to the ad hoc committee, taken in consideration, unless their mandate is something different. But I kind of look at the ad hoc committee as more of a global thing with new subdivisions and such forth moving forward, because I know we do have new parking restrictions on the new subdivisions as they're coming forward.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. I think these two are both, as I'm looking at them now, like I didn't look at what the background was of them before they came to committee, because that's what this conversation's for. But when I'm hearing rooming lodging houses, which I think is what I heard, boarding lodging houses on Steele Street, and then I'm hearing there was an infill project on, well, it's off Johnson Street, that are causing these issues. I kind of go back to what was the purpose of developing the parking committee in the first place. And the major problem that we're facing is there's infill happening, and it's happening two ways. One is there's projects like the one over off Johnson, but there's also like basement apartments, some we don't even know about, right? That are going in. There's four as of right now, because the federal government, pushed that through. There was 3 as of right by the province. And so there's more people living on smaller pieces of property, whether that's an infill build up 20 stories or 10 stories or whatever it is on Johnson, or just using the existing house and turning it into a rooming house. Sounds like you probably got 6 or 7 people driving cars where it was built for 2 people driving cars, and that's spilling out onto the street. I think those are the issues we're facing across the city right now. Like, I can't remember the name of the lady. Eric, you can probably remind me. Over Jane. If it's not Jane, then we're calling her Jane tonight. And that was in Councillor Corser's ward, where it was just that. You had, all of a sudden, there was a whole bunch of multi-vehicle homes, which is not a thing, we're just gonna coin that tonight, that weren't there before. Like, it's not 2 cars anymore, there's 4 or 5. They're parking on the grass, they're parking on the road. They're stopping other cars from being able to move around as they used to, because they gotta reverse out of their driveway in the next door neighbor's place, and all of a sudden the car is everywhere. And so I think you're exactly right. There's going to be a portion of time where we're slowing down the answers to requests for parking changes on roads. I'll flip the other side of that is, we say, yes to Councillor Rietman, it goes to staff, and then in 4 or 5 months, we have a different policy come forward, and staff have reported back and said, go this way, but then the recommendations of the committee go a completely different way, and now we're redoing what was initially done because we didn't wait for the broader policy approach. So I'm open to either one, but I think if we go ahead right now, we're going to end up probably going in circles, because the answer for the one-off is never going to be the policy across the city, but they're the same problem. Anyway, that's kind of my thought on the committee itself.
Yeah, if I could just follow up to that. I guess the other piece that I look at too is, I can't imagine that policy is going to be, it can be partially directed by the committee, but in the end, policy, because obviously staff will still do their own investigation, and obviously, yes, around this table, but we're not parking professionals. So that's where I try to keep myself within my lane of professionalism, and that's where too, I think we really have to rely heavily on staff for that side of things, whether we agree or disagree with whatever those recommendations might be sometimes. But that's where I don't know, maybe because it's a new committee, I don't really understand what their true function really is, but I guess only time will tell, and I'll leave it in executive committee's hands as to how they think that it should be dealt with. I just think that it's starting to add some additional layers to things that potentially may slow things down and really not necessarily accomplish anything additional that wouldn't be accomplished without staff just doing their investigation, and then potentially have a piece of reporting back to also the ad hoc committee, so that way that committee's aware of what their recommendation and outcome would be.
So I get your point, and I'm wondering if the deputy mayor would accept this, is rather than sending it to committee for staff to do work on as part of the broader, why not send it to staff to report back to the committee with the findings of the individual reports, so that it can serve as kind of the type of recommendations staff will be proposing in these types of scenarios around the city, and you reduce some of that back and forth, but then it still goes through the parking committee and back up to council. Is that something that everyone can, I think that achieves removing the red tape, getting staff working on it, and also provides for that committee the good information on how staff would see some of these issues getting dealt with. Is that okay with you?
That's exactly aligned with what I was just saying at the end there, that it still accomplishes what Councilor Reitman wants to accomplish without slowing it down by potentially 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, that's great.
Great, thank you.
Deputy Mayor, you're good with that?
Absolutely, that's a great outcome.
Madam Clerk, you got that friendly?
Yes.
Perfect. Can we call the vote on it? Perfect. All those in favor? It carries. And we'll move to 1.3, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed, and this is a question through you to staff. Are we in the midst of doing a North Shore Trail study?
Through you, Chair Nuttall, to the Deputy Mayor, yes, we are.
I do remember this item, I believe in 2022, we talked about it. The stairs, and then I think about 200 meters, there's a slope where people have access, but I'm just wondering if this would be redundant. Maybe we should refer this back to staff and have them incorporate options, because I believe that there'll be multiple entrances to the North Shore Trail in the new study, because, you know, getting access to it and utilizing it would be probably the objective of the study, not only a beautification and sustainability plan with erosion from the shoreline. So I guess it would be to refer this item to staff in including this option within the master plan, the North Shore master plan.
Okay, so the motion is to refer it to the North Shore Master Plan. Any, you can ask a question, yep.
It's not really a question, Mr. Mayor, but
If it's not a question, then it's probably not gonna happen.
right.
I was trying to give you leniency, but I can't go directly against the rule. So, all those in favor of the referral, is it a question? Question.
I just have a question in regards to the timeline for the master plan North Shore Trail. Is that, do we have a timeline of when that will be coming forward?
There are some, through you, Chair Nuttall, to Councillor Hamilton, we have already got some concepts underway, so I don't have the exact timing, but I can certainly update Council shortly.
Okay, all those in favor of the referral? And it carries. We'll now move on to 1.4, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor, and I'll defer this to the next executive committee meeting, due to staff are in the midst of doing a study for information regarding it.
Okay.
Somebody didn't know why I was holding it.
Okay, so I just want to take this opportunity and just say, when we're putting these requests forward, if we aren't asking for any expert advice, and it's going to slow it down, so ask for the advice as we're going through it. There'd be very, very few stop signs. I think council will just go, yep, without any investigation done. So let's make sure that we are doing that going forward. And I know we've tried to reduce the number of these types of items, but we do need to make sure that we're covering our wants. And the problem is, I was the councillor of Ward 10 at one point, and you can ask the CAO who put more items for discussion forward than the Ward 10 councillor between 06 and 14. Mel Lastman would say,
Nobody.
so I was the problem. I can tell you that. I was the problem, but we are trying, so let's make sure that we stay on that. So I'm going to call the vote on that for the deferral. Any questions or comments before we do? No? All those in favor? It carries. And we're going to move to 1.5, which is the Seniors and Expectant Mother Parking Pilot Project Peggy Hill Team Community Center.
Thank you, Mayor Nutt. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed, and love the initiative here. I actually just was hoping that the members that are sponsoring this, if we could actually make a report to council 6 months in to see the utilization and if it would benefit other rec centers. That was it, just to see if it's utilized and if it's great, because I think, anything we can do to help seniors to get them active and at the rec centers. So it's more of a question to the two councillors that are sponsoring this.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall, and thank you for the question. Yeah, so this idea actually did come forward by a senior that attends Peggy Hill on several times a week. Because they have an elementary school next door to them, it's become very problematic, especially in the mornings when they're showing up for their aqua swim and different things, with all the volume of people from the school using the community center to drop off their kids. And as a result, seniors having to park a fair distance from the front door. So I did have quite a bit of back and forth with staff with this, along with Councillor Negussi as the chair of the Seniors Accessibility Committee, and that's where we came up with this. I do agree, a report back even sooner than the 12-month pilot project that's been suggested by staff. I'm definitely in line with that, and because originally I did think this would be great globally across the entire city, and then we ended up coming to this compromise of let's try it at Peggy Hill, see if there's any issues around it, which I don't anticipate it, because you look at places like Walmart, they've been doing this for decades. Will you get the odd person parking in these spots that shouldn't be parking in these spots? 110%. Bylaw can't be everywhere, but let's hope that most people have enough wherewithal with them and enough common sense to not be parking in these spots along with the handicap spots that are leaving closer to the front door than what I anticipate these ones would be. So thank you for the question, and I will take that as a friendly.
Perfect. So that's it's a very unfriendly place tonight. No friendly allowed, but the deputy mayor can
Madam
put
Clerk,
it on the floor.
can the member who sponsored it, because he's part of the exec, could he amend his own?
He doesn't need to, because you put it on the floor.
Oh, okay.
So,
I just
so
wanted
all
to
you've
give
got to
him the
do
credit.
is change what you've put on the floor to include the 6-month period, and then we can vote right on that.
Staff report back to the executive committee 6 months in to see the utilization and if there's an opportunity to implement this in other facilities.
Perfect. Madam Clerk, I think you can get that language, and we'll have that all right before it goes to general committee. So with that, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. And we will move, we've already gone through 2, so we'll move on to 3, which are the financial updates. A memorandum from Colleen Smith, Interim Director of Finance, dated September 24th, regarding financial impacts of tariffs. Do we have any questions with regards to this memorandum that's come through? I'm seeing none, so we'll move past that. There's no other business, and we will adjourn the meeting